Let me tell you something, bitch. Just because he got a big dick, don't make him a grown man with your pedophile ass.
Episode 16, No Hipsters Pod. It's your boy Ronte, the founder of NoHipstersLoud.com. And this week, our co-host for the fourth time is my girl, Teresa.
Woo! Hey, glad to be back.
The word of the day is entanglement.
I love that word.
Right. So,
perfect.
Right. And, it's really, it's not very direct, but it kind of gets the message past. So that's why it's really, really appropriate. But Jada has finally brought herself to the red table and revealed that she was, in fact, in an entanglement with August Alsina.
I guess about 4.5 years ago.
Yeah.
I think it was about 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. Started a friendship with August. Mm-hmm. And we actually became really, really good friends. Mm-hmm. And it all started with him just needing some help. Mm-hmm. Me wanting to help his health, his mental state.
Because for me, that was the thing when Aug first came around, he was really sick.
And from there, you and I were going through a very difficult time.
Yeah.
And we decided...
I was done with your ass.
Yeah, you kicked me to the curb.
I was done with you.
Yeah.
Marriages have that, though. Marriages have that.
Yeah, we basically, we broke up.
And then what did you do, Jada?
Well, I think from there, as time went on, I got into a different kind of entanglement with August.
Thoughts on that whole exchange?
Oh, I have lots of thoughts. For a small 12-minute episode, I will say that they really know how to get the people going.
They do.
That is definitely, without a doubt, their TV talent. They are movie magic. They are everything with that. Right. My initial thought when I first heard the news that she was bringing herself to a table to discuss this was, this is not really my business. It's not really my business what happened in their marriage. But
I'm gonna listen. But
if you're gonna tell me, I'm gonna listen. It just really seemed like at least all parties who needed to know knew what was going on. So everyone else kind of digging into something that was old kind of just seemed... It seemed malicious. It seemed like people just wanted to see them suffer.
Right. I mean, I think we all, to an extent, have a bit of schadenfreude where we like to see, not necessarily see people suffer, but when someone looks like their life is too perfect, you just want to see that there is, a bit of a crack somewhere. And so people, it's the same thing like when Beyonce had the elevator incident with Jay-Z and Solange. Like people were kind of celebrating that, they're not so perfect, that they do fight, And so people are always, unfortunately, kind of waiting for that moment to say, aha, see, they're just like us. They're imperfect. Which,
by the way, that was a perfect example of people needed to mind their business, because ever since then, y'all still won't stop reminding Beyonce that she got cheated on. And every time somebody gets cheated on, you bring up the fact that, well, if Beyonce could get cheated on, I'll be damned if I get cheated on one time. And y'all remind me every day that, oh yeah, remember when your man cheated on you? Oh, please let it go.
Right. And also, I mean, I think that, first of all, Will Smith looked really kind of angry in the early parts of the interview and almost like embarrassed. And actually, to me, looked like he might have been crying before they started filming, or maybe that's just his angry face looks like he's about to cry or was crying. But it was really uncomfortable. You could almost cut the tension with a knife. And I
don't know if anybody else felt it through the screen, but it just felt...
I felt it.
Very uncomfortable. It was like, whoa, I don't want to laugh at this joke, but since you're laughing...
Right.
He really said, I thought I would never speak to you again, and then laughed. And I kind of was like, wait, what?
Right. And the whole bit with like the bad marriage for life.
25 years and counting.
We ride together.
We die together.
Bad marriage for life.
It was just all so really uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, Will has clearly, got his. So I don't think that this was just Jada, doing her own thing. They were separated. And so if she was, getting into entanglements, I'm sure he had a few entanglements of his own. And that's pretty much why he can't be too mad, right?
And that makes sense. He kind of did portray himself for a moment as the Hillary Rodham of the relationship, or the Rashida,
right?
If you will,
right?
The one that just foolishly stands by your side and will have your back. So it can possibly look as though he's the victim here, given that comparison. And it very much felt like, she had to point out that, I think you did get me back.
Right, exactly. And she did on the record. I'm happy she did that, because I think some people are getting away with the idea that this is just Jada doing her thing on the side, and they both did their thing. And I think part of why this feels so uncomfortable is that we're used to seeing the roles reversed as far as, the sexes. You usually see the man trying to explain away a situation and the woman kind of nodding along and being supportive. So it was interesting. I hate that it happened. I still stand by my position that August Alsina did it for clout.
And you know what? She kind of confirmed it. She kind of confirmed it. She literally said at one point, August didn't want to heal. I was trying to heal. We could have had a conversation. And Will moved on. I don't know why he don't want to move on. That's what I was getting from like the end and then when they both said, like, I don't know why it's coming out now when it happened years ago.
Yeah.
Essentially, it was you trying to say, I think he's trying to sell an album.
What that reminded me of is when people who have quote unquote status try to like close themselves off from people who aren't on the same level. Because when you start getting involved with, an August Alsina who clearly has something to gain from being associated with the Smiths, you get into situations like this. Like if she had an entanglement with Denzel Washington or some other major star, there's no way we'd be talking about it today, because that person would have felt like, this is something that I should keep secret as well, right?
Right.
This is my secret too. But with August, I think he knows that he gains from this. There are a lot of people who probably hadn't heard of August Alsina until all of this happened. And so, that was Jada's mistake.
Yeah, a lot of people on the internet definitely said that they feel as though Will and Jada should have been smart enough to have a confidentiality clause, an NDA, and just handled it the way that most Hollywood handles things. And it's actually starting to seem as though they really did not think it was something to hide. It really seems as though it was just something that did not end in the way in which they thought it was going to go in.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a difficult situation to put someone so young and so early in their career in as well. So
yeah, I mean, the age difference is quite something, and but ultimately, I think there was an understanding that this was private, and so it should have never been public. And I still think that August Alsina is super whack for that.
I agree.
Yeah, it's just, like
I
why?
agree. I think anytime you sever ties with somebody, you just kind of need to leave it as it is. But
Right.
But he's young, and he Will and Jada have made all their money. He has a whole career ahead of him, and I think honestly, this early in his career and being this young, he can make some of those missteps and still be able to recover.
Let's talk about Chris Cooper, the guy who was birding at the Ramble in Central Park.
Ooh, yeah.
And right. And he had Amy Cooper, no relation, essentially tried to stick the police on him.
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Since then, she's lost her job. She's had her, her dog taken from her. She, has been shamed publicly. And now she's being charged by the NYPD for making a false report. And they have all the evidence they need because it's on video. But they wanted him to testify against her. And he's saying that he doesn't want to cooperate, which I guess in some sense is noble, but it couldn't be me. Like if you,
If I ever needed to sum up the strength.
Right. Like if you did anything like that to me and essentially try to put my life in danger, I will testify to whoever to make sure that you at least spend a few nights in jail, because that whole thing was just outrageous.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it really was, it was maliciously done, evidently.
Yeah.
And it is definitely something that has gotten a lot more attention than, other petty crimes typically would, because at the end of the day, no one died. No one actually was in danger except for that poor dog. But at the end of the day, what the larger issue is that it could have been more dangerous. Someone else could have actually gotten hurt. And I think that's a reality that Chris Cooper seems to be very aware of, but doesn't necessarily want to be consumed with.
Right.
And you can't really blame him for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's his life. So, it's his prerogative if he feels like she has been punished sufficiently. And if he feels like, the harm, on him was minimal since he got to walk away before the cops got there, that's fine. I know for me, myself personally, there's just no way you would speak the words, I'm going to call the cops and tell them that an African-American man is threatening my life, and I would do everything I can to get even with you. So,
but he did say in interviews that he was getting a lot of attention that he was not expecting, and that the altercation was not racial until he had actually turned on the camera. And so there wasn't any thought in his head that he's confronting a racist. He just thought he was confronting somebody who was being non-compliant with the park rules. And naturally just thinking, okay, I'm going to record this and report it so that way it can at least be enforced. Instead, he catches her golden moment of her saying, I'm going to call the police and tell them that you are endangering my life.
Right.
And in those few words, he essentially felt as though that's not worth ruining her life, because if this is the type of attention I'm getting, I can't possibly imagine the type of attention that she's getting. And I get that level of compassion, but if it were me,
right,
if it were up to me,
right.
I also would have found the strength to go ahead and testify.
I actually would not have needed any additional strength. I would be so ready. Give me the time and date. Like, let me know.
I've been training for this.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to T.I. versus 50 Cent. So,
the North versus the South.
Right. So this past week, T.I. and 50 Cent have been bickering on social media because I guess someone brought up the idea of them battling on one of the IG Live battles. And they just, they've been going back and forth. I'm barely interested because I'm not the biggest fan of either. And so... but,
you were not a fan of either as a child growing up?
Maybe T.I. for a brief moment in college.
Okay.
50 Cent, maybe. I guess 50 Cent was so popular where you kind of had to enjoy some of his music, but I actually never liked the person. I've always found him to be a bitter person, even when he was successful. You know what? I'll tell you exactly why. So I felt like the emergence of 50 Cent in many ways brought the end of Ja Rule. And so I couldn't be a fan because
I was a huge Murder Inc. fan.
I actually saw Ja Rule about a year and a half ago at the Fillmore, and it was one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. And the amount of hits that man has and the amount of hits he gave us in a really short period of time is remarkable. And I still think he's a superior artist to 50 Cent. And I think all the evidence is there. Like, I think Ja Rule's music has aged a lot better than 50's has. And so I think that's why I was never too crazy about 50 to begin with. But over the years, he's just shown himself to be a bitter guy. Like, you know, he can never just break up with a woman and like move on. He has to like diss her publicly. And, you know,
the persona is just not very becoming.
Yeah, he's not one of my favorites at all. But
I will definitely say that the emergence of 50 Cent and his just surge to popularity globally was the first thing that caught my eye. It just was the way that the first time I heard him here and then went overseas and saw people saying every word, and I just had never seen an artist like pick up that quickly.
Yeah, it was really quick. Like
it was almost immediate. As soon as he came out, everyone everywhere already knew him. So I do respect him for that. Now, as a person, I'm actually not a fan of either.
Like,
I'm not really looking forward to the battle, but I will say that I wish Versus did a better job of vetting the artists and songwriters that they choose to include. So many people want to get close to this level of attention right now with everyone at home, and they want to use this platform to remind people of the talent that they have and to also promote their new music. And I feel like it's their responsibility to be better gatekeepers, because essentially that's what they are. That's what they've been doing. They're creating a platform for their buddies, their friends, their colleagues, and not necessarily always the ones that are doing the most for us. But, you know, that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I liked it better when they were sticking to the songwriters. They were definitely giving a platform to more artists that we don't get to see.
Yeah.
So that was very interesting. And that was just like amazing to find out these faces behind these records that have done phenomenally over years.
Right.
So that was just, it was like an Easter egg on top of this battle going back and forth, that you find out that this person was actually behind this and that and several of your favorite records.
And the funny thing is that, I mean, neither 50 nor T.I. have been particularly popular for the last decade. And so, you know, in some ways it should be like, oh yeah, remember when they did this? But they're always in our faces for one social media situation or the other, either 50 fighting someone online or T.I. just like T.I. trying to be the spokesperson for Black people. You know, it's just...
God, I hate it. I hate it so much. And embarrassing his family every step of the way.
Right.
It's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, Tamika, get out.
It's just, the whole thing is just really sad. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. So actually, if it did happen, who do you think would actually win?
Ooh, that's a good question. They both have a decent catalog,
right? So I think 50.
I think T.I. would win.
Oh, you know, I was gonna say that. I think 50 has the bigger hits, but I think T.I. in some ways, I think his 50's, I don't know, 50 Cent songs didn't age that well.
I don't think so either. I think he has a few records that have been like just phenomenal. They've surpassed so many like different records, and I just feel like those big ones are the ones that stand out the most for him.
I mean, does Candy Shop stand out?
Oh, I forgot he did that.
Yeah, and that was number one for like 9 weeks. That's a huge hit. But I mean, listen to it 15 years later, it's like, what is this?
No.
But yeah, T.I., even like before T.I. started like getting the mainstream hits, I thought like, you know, Bring Him Out and songs like that have aged well. And yeah, I don't know. I might give it a T.I., surprisingly.
I do think that a lot more of T.I.'s songs can get played in the club and get a little bit more of a response. But there are certain 50 Cent records that are like, they were just phenomenal. But I think that T.I. just has more. I think there are plenty more that people will definitely still applaud too.
I think T.I. had a longer run. That's what it is. Because T.I. 50 was red hot for like a 2-year period, or maybe 3-year period, and then it was like nothing after that. So,
I mean, he did have that battle he did with Kanye towards the end of his
run. And which he lost.
To Kanye.
So,
he lost to Kanye, and that was when I knew that the 50 Cent era was over.
Yep.
And in fact, why didn't he battle Kanye? Let's see those two go up against each other.
No, not Kanye. I mean, we don't really stand Kanye around these parts. Where Kanye will destroy 50.
I just felt like if it was going to be bravado and ego versus bravado and ego, then
right? Yeah,
throw Kanye in the mix.
So this past week, a video surfaced of Dame Dash flipping out on producers working on a new documentary about Aaliyah. And it's not clear what's going on, but in the caption in the social media post he made, essentially they were trying to exploit his story with Aaliyah, and I'm not quite sure what that means.
I wasn't sure either. I was like, tell us more so we can be there for you.
It almost feels like he was trying to like tease or draw us in for some other thing, because while he's flipping out, he says like he's going to like do his own documentary. So to me, it just seemed like almost a promo situation. Yeah, maybe. Like, possibly just like it just felt very choreographed, and I wasn't quite sure what to make of it. But what did you think?
I think that maybe some years from now there will be some very powerful documentaries that submerge that will tell us a little bit more about some of our juggernauts in the hip hop industry. Mm-hmm. And that there's a lot of that is not yet ready to be shared. Mm-hmm. So I got that feeling from when he actually said he was trying to be exploited. I really wanted him to say more, but there's so much about him that he doesn't share. And there's so much about his relationship with Jay-Z and just like everyone in the music industry. There's a lot of stories that he has a lot of information around that I feel like will eventually start to surface. Mm. So whatever it is that he's holding on to, I believe that it's something, and that whatever crew was trying to get that out.
Gotcha. Staying on the topic of Aaliyah, a video surfaced on Twitter this week, and it's actually from an old True Hollywood story about Aaliyah. And there's a clip of Timbaland saying that when he first met Aaliyah, he fell in love with her.
First met Aaliyah. It's time for the world to hear this. I want to give up a little secret. I was in love with her. I said, but I'm not. She's just a baby. I'm old. I said to myself, I'm just going to be her brother.
Now, this is an old clip, so it's been out there. And I think the fact that people are reacting now is just one of the examples how like we change in the way we think about things and our sensitivities. And so people are like, this is weird. And they are essentially not like grouping Timbaland with the rest of them, but they're just saying that Timbaland is creep adjacent at the very least.
Yes. Absolutely yes. I think it is absolutely fine for people to think that that's weird, because I don't think he needed to share that. I don't know if anybody asked him that.
Yeah.
Question.
I mean, maybe they asked him, what did you think of Aaliyah when you first met her? And maybe they expect him to say, oh, I thought she was a virtuoso, or I thought she was an amazing talent. And then he took it that way. So I mean, who knows what the question was, but I would have left that one in the drafts, honestly.
I would have too. I don't think that was something that you needed to share, because if you really think about it, him actually saying in the clip that he decided to take the big brother route actually is the part that really, really worries me the most, because it just is like, you had an internal battle and you had access to this child unsupervised. People trusted you around them, and you are essentially admitting that you had a war with yourself on whether or not to protect this child after you found out it was a child. It's one thing to say that, oh yeah, I thought she was cute. You fell in love with a child and were at war with yourself.
Yeah.
You could have kept that to yourself.
Winners and losers. Teresa, as the guest host, you get to go first.
Oh, you're so kind. I will say that my loser is Michael Cohen. And it is Michael Cohen because I don't understand the level of audacity you have to have.
The gall.
In order for you to be released from prison during a pandemic and to be caught outside.
Having dinner.
Outside.
Like, he was having dinner with friends.
You couldn't tell them to just come back to your house. You couldn't Postmates it. You just had to be outside. And you know what? He is my loser specifically because I hope all of my friends listen to this who have been outside and they understand how stupid you look when somebody catches you outside when you're not supposed to be outside.
It's just terrible.
Just because you didn't post it on Twitter and Instagram does not mean we don't see you. We see you outside, and you need to take your ass in the house. So he is my loser.
And who's your winner?
Oh, my winner. It was really hard for me to choose one, but I will definitely say my winner is Saweetie.
I love her.
I cannot, there's nothing about her that you guys can tell me that will make me dislike this girl. And it just seems like there's so many things that people have been recently throwing out there to discredit her. And it's like, nope, like her more. Like, oh, she went to college and she got a degree. She's inauthentic. And I'm like, well, I like that even better.
There are definitely college-educated women that act like Saweetie. I'm not sure what that even means, but...
Exactly. And then there's just been this narrative of like, oh, well, you went to college, so you should be twerking all up and down someone's campus. Like, excuse me, have you been to a campus?
Right, exactly.
I don't understand what the problem is here. So she got the 2 Birkins for her birthday from her boyfriend Quavo. And so just like any girl would, she just starts going up and snapping, drops into a split like she's had a good old time. And here comes some haters from the internet to basically try to steal that joy from her. And I don't like that.
I don't like that.
Anytime that a Black woman is successful and they are happy, it's just not okay with certain people. And I just love the way that she continues to step into herself and continues to be happy and continues to do what she has been doing. I love it. So she's one of my winners for sure.
So my loser, actually, I have 2 this week. And I think my first loser will have to be Kanye West. For him, for attempting to split the progressive vote so that Trump wins. I think, he announced he's running for president. And I think the whole point is to, shave a few votes here and there, and really that's all you need to do. Like a few thousand here and a few thousand there, and then states that matter. And we could have Trump in there for another 4 years. And if you think that people are too smart to vote for Kanye, I'll let you know that there are at least 2 prominent people who have already said that they will vote for him. One of them was a football player. I can't remember his name for the life of me, and some other person. And so, there are people who will do this right now. It's just, it's unfortunate. And it's sad that this is just who Kanye is and what Kanye has turned out to be. The same guy who made all those amazing songs, all those songs that were in many ways, conscious, is now at this point in his career and his life.
I miss old Kanye for sure.
Yeah. At this point in his life, he's trying to get a bold and unashamed white supremacist reelected. So yeah, Kanye is definitely the first loser. My second loser will be all the people who are not wearing masks. Actually, you know what? I did them last week. Let me.
They did it again.
Yeah. I feel like everywhere I look, I see people without masks, and I'm like, yo, what? Why are we doing this? Why are we here? You know, like this, it shouldn't be this way.
The look of disgust under my mask as I see it is just like,
why do you not want us to win? Why do you not want us to move forward? It's just, it's really sad. But I mean, that's who's on my mind. Like, they really are, you know, they're killing me. And then, I guess my other loser would be YG with that new album cover.
Oh Lord.
I'm not sure why that happened. But yeah,
oh, Lord.
It was, yeah, I hate to see it. And then my winner, honestly, this has been a bad week. There are no winners. But I guess if we have to name a winner, perhaps, you know what, we could name.
Oh, I have a winner for you.
Who?
Oh, I do have another Black girl celebrating some joy right now. Mm-hmm. But I will say that my other winner would definitely be the City Girls.
Mm. Why?
And the reason why is because somehow I came across the latest episode inside of their little docuseries they've been shooting. Mm-hmm. And this episode seemed to focus on Carisha, and that's young Miami, and just her journey through deciding to be a mother, a young mother, and her still being on tour and still working and just wanting to be able to prove that getting pregnant does not mean that's the end of her career.
Right.
And in the clip, there's several other rappers from QC who also, her label, they also make comments just about how hard she worked and just about the hate that they get because they're twerking and, oh, she's pregnant, oh, she's doing this, that, and the third. But they really show behind the scenes where she goes to the doctor's appointment. She's always with her son, what a loving mom she is, and how she wants to have a whole bunch of kids and not have this money by herself, but just to be able to share it with her family, who a lot of them apparently, and in many cases for a lot of celebrities, they work for her. But I was really proud and excited to see that. And I saw some of the comments on Instagram and Twitter were more along the lines of, you know, Black women shouldn't do this. Why are Black women always twerking? Every time I turn around, Megan Thee Stallion's posting another twerking video. And, oh, can you do something different, like quantum physics or math?
Oh, boy.
You guys want Black women to do everything and then still come back and save the world. And sometimes that's just not what you're going to get from every single Black woman. And I just like seeing them win. So yeah. I definitely loved watching that video. That docuseries. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
We'll do. Actually, you know what? I do have a winner now. Michaela Cole. She is the creator of I May Destroy You, and actually formerly Chewing Gum, which is, I guess, her web series. So yeah, she's definitely my winner because there was a profile of her in New York Mag this week, and in the interview, she talks about how she was offered $1 million for I May Destroy You, and she turned it down because she found out that Netflix was essentially being semi-shady and that her agency actually stood to gain from getting into a deal with Netflix. And so, yeah. And so she turned it down and she held out. And of course, now she's on HBO in the US and BBC in the UK. And so, you know, boss moves, and the show was amazing. I don't know if you watch it, but it's great show. The theme is generally about consent and all the different ways that consent is, you know, violated or how consent can be withdrawn, you know. So it's a really interesting show. I recommend it, highly recommend it. So that is my winner.
I love her work. And I also feel like we all owe Monique an apology now.
You know what? I saw people bringing Monique up, and I do see where they're making that parallel, but it's kind of different in the sense that, yes, I'm sure Netflix lowballs a lot of different people, but Monique has the backdrop of very high profile feuds with very powerful people, which makes her a not so strong, negotiator or not. I guess she just doesn't come in with the leverage that you would need when you're coming in with content, right? You made enemies with Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry, and Will Packer. arguably the four most powerful Black people in Hollywood. And, and it's like, yo, like, why are you, I mean, she's just, I'm so team Monique, but I think that she just doesn't know how to help herself. And she just, I don't know, like, you know, all her grievances are legitimate, but because she's so bad at advocating for herself, she ends up in these situations where she's being mistreated and somehow she can't get enough people to rally behind her.
Right.
So it's unfortunate.
No one feels sorry for you.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm sure some of that, that's not, you know, to be clear, a lot of that is also racism and sexism. Like, you know, maybe if she were a white man, people might be able to feel sorry for her more quickly, or if you're a white woman, to feel sorry for her more easily. But she's a Black woman, so that's definitely at play. But I think she also isn't maneuvering the landscape as best as she could. So
yeah, and considering the progress that needs to be made, it certainly would need to be somebody who has less of a checkered past to kind of start that movement.
Right.
So kudos to Michaela.
Yeah, for sure. Teresa, thank you so much for stopping by. Plug your social media real quick.
You guys can follow me at REESIE_RICH on Instagram and on Twitter, and just Teresa Kona on Facebook.
All right, we love it. Episode 16, No Hipsters Pod. Talk to you next time.